Yo, what's happening, everybody? Nice Friday night edition of Wrestling Daily. Alex McCarthy's Wrestling Daily, and I am he. Of course, I am flanked by Louis Dangoor, back after a sabbatical where Steph Chase and SP3 did a delightful job. But he's returned to the show without his Quizzlemania mantle. How dare you, Louis, with the good name of Alex McCarthy's Wrestling Daily resting on your young shoulders. You dropped the ball, man.
Honestly, I've never been so I came downstairs and most people think I'd be embarrassed to see my parents, but no, I was more worried about your reaction when I came onto the next Wrestling Daily show. How you'd react to if you'd even want me back. Right. But I mean, I tried KFC for the first time, so we gained something.
I mean, when you say tried, you had what I would call nibbles of KFC.
So I had a popcorn chicken, which was nice. It was nice.
Thank you.
But the spicy wing was a bit too hot. A little bit too hot for me.
Well, you've got to regroup, Lou. You have to come away, dust yourself down, and in true Vince McMahon nature, I think we're probably both going to have to lose our first names. So from now on, it's McCarthy and Dangoor all the way. That's all we're known as. It's not quite.
That's what I've been called as by my friends for years. So not too bad. It's not as bad as Riddle, but we'll get onto that.
We sure will. So anyway, thanks again for joining us, guys, for some Friday night insight. It's that time of the week again, and very much enjoying all of your comments and super chats this week. As I say, my favorite part of the show. We had some bangers yesterday. Talking about fantasy booking and hot takes, some piping hot takes in there. So thank you very much once again. We really appreciate it. Any amount, it will be read out on Alex McCarthy's Wrestling Daily. And of course, staying on the business side of things, if you do need to catch up with our week of content, you can do so on podcast form or YouTube. But if you just want us in your ears, taking a bath, and you want to hear Louis Dangoor wax lyrical about wrestling, that's the fantasy of many, I'm sure. Then all you need to do is hit up Apple, Spotify, Acast, all of the good ones, and probably the bad ones too. So feel free to join us there. And of course, Wrestle 2, hovering around that 30,000 mark. Please give us a like, a share, a precious subscribe. Please feel free to do that. To all of you that already have, you're good eggs. And we all know on this show, Alex McCarthy, speaking in the third person for some obscure reason, he likes good eggs. So thank you very much, guys. Let's jump into the news, okay? Because we had some sensational developments during the stream yesterday that I do want to get into. But we have a super chat already, Lou. Before we even came on air, we had a super chat tonight. And it comes straight from Mayor of Painesville, Dan, good friend of the show. Hello, Alex. What are your thoughts on Ilia and Walter with a V, everyone? For me, it's a match of the year candidate. Levels of Bandido and Mike Bailey from WXW16 Carrot. 5 stars. Well, it's funny you should say that. I watched it this afternoon. Of course, I couldn't watch it yesterday because I was on the stream with Steph Chase, and I knew I was going to be missing something tremendous. it was a good episode, by the way. I thought of NXT UK full stop. Very much like what they're doing with Eddie Dennis, kind of Chris Jericho 2008 vibes. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. So sometimes on this show, we're accused of giving the rub and shooting. But tonight, when it comes to Walter and Ilia, it is all about the rub, Lou.
The chops.
Dangoor. Yeah. Man, it was absolutely incredible. The brutality, as Dave Meltzer has said himself, Lou, Dangoor, 5 stars, and he believes that it's the most brutal match that WWE has ever had. I would say probably intentionally so, yes. And man, just the little things in the match. A lot of it was just straight up chopping and brutalizing each other and the violence, and it was just a fight for a lot of it. I also love the little things, though, where even when Ilia was he'd like done the back suplex, and he went for the arch, the bridge, and Walter just stops him at the thing and then drops him into the sleeper. I just thought, man, it like technically it was so sound. Like, I know that no one's even really thinking about that, but it was so smooth and the exchanges were so great. It was so brutal. It told the story of the underdog. I just thought it was amazing. Like, the best match, in my opinion, of the like no fans era. And I know we've technically moved out of that with the main roster, but if you think back to those first few months in the PC with AEW as well, I think this is the best. You could even argue the best NXT UK match thus far. And that might not sound like a lot to some people who don't tune in all the time, but there is a great resume of matches on that brand. So for me, 5-star all the way, match of the year candidate. It stands alone in its like category of violence and aggression and brutality. I just think it was sensational, Dangoor.
It was really good. It was really, really good. Like the in terms of best NXT UK match for me, that will still go to Tyler Bate and Walter from Cardiff.
I was there for that, and it was ridiculous.
It was, for me, my favorite match of last year by far. This was good. I think the crowd would have helped it, and I think it's just more of a testament to those two guys. They were able to deliver what they were without the crowd. But what they were able to do was genuinely fantastic. So I think kudos to them. And I think Meltzer touched on this in his review in the newsletter. The fact Ilia Dragunov is so pale and his chest lights up so much just added to the match. It just made it feel more brutal. It was a fantastic match. And a lot of people sleep on NXT UK as being, not the best. It's sort of the below NXT. But in terms of in-ring quality, it's right up there with the top in wrestling. And I really, really liked it. So, I'd have to say 100% 5 stars. I agree with Meltzer on this one. I don't know if we can say that for some of his other star ratings that have come out this week. But on this one, 100% 5-star match to the bank.
We are going to get into that at some stage because I do have some thoughts on what Uncle Dave had to say. But yeah, this match, no doubt, NXT UK at the top end of the card especially has been delivering since the inception of the brand. Every takeover has banged. And yeah, I just think that the more exposure they get and the more classics they put on, the more people will be drawn to it. And I really hope so, because there is a great brand there. And the moves they've made this week with Satomura and, of course, Rampage Brown, very good moves. So, I think they're truly on the up. We got another super chat here from Jobber JJ. No joke, WWE blocked my Twitter and some of my tweets due to copyright. Sharing links is copyright. Expect a street fight between me and Vince at Survivor Series. Jobber JJ, I would back you all the way in that scrap, my friend. You plucky individual. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to know what you were tweeting, my friend. I can't give you that much aid from here, nor legal advice. But I will say WWE have been known to get precious about things. I still now get worried if I ever share a video like from their YouTube or anything like that, because you just think they're going to come clashing down on me. But yeah, I'm sure it'll all work out. They're just being sensitive, maybe. And it's a sensitive time, which moves us on to the next bit of news, because we've seen the end of the Twitch era, it seems. AJ Styles put out a statement, Lou. Of course, Paige was really quite emotional about the whole thing. Walk us through where we're at and how WWE have seemingly cancelled all rights for anyone who works for them.
So this is not good in my view. A lot of people, so we've heard for a while WWE has planned on banning its wrestlers from using Twitch, Cameo, and other sort of third-party platforms. And yesterday, several wrestlers either deleted their Twitches or announced that they'd be suspending them. AJ Styles was one, Mia Yim was another, Cesaro was another. So it doesn't affect your place on the card, whether you're, I was about to say NXT, but Mia Yim is now main roster, isn't she? With Reckoning. But so this
Who's also... Mia Yim? Who is Mia Yim? I don't know.
Sorry, Reckoning.
Carry on.
But this, and more surprisingly, we saw yesterday Paige. And this was one that was extra surprising for me because I wasn't sure what deal she was on right now, whether she was on a Legends deal or a Performers deal. But it seems like she's also been impacted by this, because during a stream yesterday, she got, and understandably so, quite emotional during her stream basically saying, I've got to the point, and I quote, I've got to the point where I can't deal with this company anymore. So now I have to make an important decision. I'm effing tired. I broke my effing neck twice for this company. So she obviously feels, and I guess rightly so, aggrieved by the fact that she's being asked to delete her Twitch. She even later said that at a time when she isn't able to go to shows like everyone else, she isn't able to wrestle, she needs that interaction with fans where she's just sitting at home. And WWE have unfortunately taken that away from her. But they haven't gone down without a fight, because it has been reported by PW Insider that several wrestlers spoke to Vince McMahon about the Twitch ban in a sort of last-ditch effort to change his mind, which I guess you can understand if people wanted to do. There was no names said with who went to Vince McMahon, but you can understand why they would. And it is a difficult situation. Part of me understands why WWE is doing it, because if you've got a heel on TV, you're going to want them to be a heel on social media.
That's not why they're doing it, Lou, and you know
Of course not. That's their excuse. It came out that Biggie made, I think, 60K on Cameo. That's why they're doing it. I will not be surprised if eventually WWE and Twitch work out a deal when these people are back on Twitch, but under a WWE banner, under a WWE facilitated account, where WWE gets a percentage of the cut. 100%. That's the reason they've done it. It's financially based. I do think that probably people like AJ Styles, and I don't want to call him out and sort of say that he's done anything wrong, but people like AJ Styles talking about his issues with Paul Heyman, that potentially had a impact. I wouldn't be too surprised, given sort of WWE don't want those kind of things out. The sort of thing, if he said in an interview, it probably would get taken down or asked to be edited out or something like that, if that does happen. But I mean, it's an interesting time, and I do feel for the performers involved, because especially at a time like this where they're not on the road 24/7, they're not used to having this free time, and they want to stream with people, they want to connect where they can't with fans at shows. It really is and must be incredibly upsetting for them.
We have got a super chat from Pablo Trejo, but I do want to stay on this Twitch situation for a second there. In my experience with WWE, I've never retrospectively had them say, take something down or edit it. I've had it with AEW a couple of times, but I haven't had it with WWE.
And New Japan.
Yeah, New Japan are like, super. Like, you have to do all your questions beforehand and everything. Anyway, with WWE, you say what you like about them, but they've never seemed, what's said in interviews, I think they always think controversy creates cash and all that malarkey. And as long as it isn't too damning to the actual company, which is vastly different to the characters and storylines, then I don't think they mind. For me, it's greedy. It's controlling. They really have no business, if they want to distance themselves from these employees as, contracted workers, or, they're not getting healthcare with WWE and all of this stuff. And I know this is a wider conversation, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. And that's what WWE is doing. They're saying, well, you don't officially work for us and get all of these perks, but we want everything that you're doing. That's not how it works in the real world.
They're trying to have their cake and eat it. They want both sides of it. They don't want to give the healthcare benefits, the benefits that you have being an employee, but they want to control their talent like employees. So
that's exactly what I'm saying. It's anywhere else in the world, in any other industry. But this is again where the wrestling industry, and I know unionize is a word and all that, that people throw around, and I'm not saying that, but at the same time, wrestling seems to be the only industry you can get away with doing things like this. And I just don't think it's ethically correct, especially for Paige, man. Like, she's not an active performer or anything like that. Why? How does it hurt them letting her do that?
It might benefit them. Because I guarantee all of those people watching Paige's stream, I guarantee a handful, probably more, don't watch Raw, SmackDown, all the shows. So if she can talk up the shows, they can get that cross promotion. If people build themselves up, I know this whole thing, WWE don't want you getting over unless you are made to be over by them, but it's incredibly unfair on Paige. She's the one. I know I feel bad for everyone involved, but for her specifically, you could tell on the stream last night how emotional she was, and you can understand it. It's not like anyone saying she's overreacting, because she has had a rough go of it in recent years.
And you have to wonder what contract she is on, right? Because I was speaking to Foley the other day, Mick Foley, and he was like plugging his cameo hard. Really hard, like, and saying how much pride he takes in it, and it doesn't seem WWE can tell him what to do, even though he's been in talks with Vince, so maybe that will change. But you have to think that Paige is on some kind of, not a legend deal, is what I'm saying. Like, she could be used on TV at any time. I'd imagine that's what we're talking about here. But either way, to tie a bow on it, because I know we could go and beat a dead horse here, I think it's wrong. And I don't think there's any need for WWE to do this. And if they, come out and publicly give a whole host of reasons why, other than the fact by glossing it over with all of this jargon that really they just want the money that their superstars are generating. And I do get it, kind of, if they're using the character that WWE have helped build and create, yes. But if these people are, streaming under their real names, like Paige does, why is it their business? So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. Pablo, let's get to you, my friend. With Pac and Dunn coming back from the UK, could we have Walter versus Balor? And Walter versus Ilia is number 2 on my match of the year. And I'm assuming he's saying here that Revolution tag matches is number 1. Pablo, you've got great taste. I would say that those two are absolutely in the conversation, wouldn't you, Lou? They are 2 of the top 5 in anyone who's got half a brains list.
Yeah, 100%. They were 2 fantastic matches. They were brilliant in different ways. I think that both were incredibly impressive in their own right as well, considering AEW's Revolution was a tag match and it was that good, and we don't necessarily normally see tag matches getting those sort of high praises and being in people's match of the years, even though they definitely should be. And obviously Ilia and Walter was in a no fans era, which just makes it incredibly impressive. So I think you've got to take a hat off to all 6 men involved and say that they really pulled it out of the bag and had some great matches.
Yeah, and in terms of like, can we see these different matchups now stateside or over here? It seems to be kind of one-way traffic in a lot of ways. That it's the Brits that are now making it over to America. And I know Anthony Ogogo. I spoke to him maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and he'd gone to the States for AEW and appeared on Dark this week, I believe, at the commentary table. So there's clearly like a way that can happen now. And I know that there's different restrictions for different countries in different ways. I don't know if they'll be wheeling, like, basically until there's a takeover or something. I don't see them wheeling Finn Balor out to, they can't anyway right now because he's injured, but I don't see that happening in the foreseeable future. But I do think there's a lot more matchups that can happen now. And as things ease, I would say you'd expect to see more of a revolving door in the new year. I would say in the UK, for those who don't know, and I'm not sure obviously where Pablo is from, but it's still very strange over here. Like, we're in different tiers in different parts of the country, and that means different things that you can and can't do. Arenas are still out. They're begging for people to get back in stadiums at football matches. The clubs are. The government is kind of, resisting, and it's all. If considering we thought we were going to have people back in arenas this month, October, it's kind of taken a bit of a hit. Oh, Pablo, Mexico. There you go. Thank you very much. So the UK is still kind of going through some growing pains, and the government are kind of judging it on the fly is the most. No
one knows what's going on.
No,
put it that way.
Yeah. So it's one of them where, like, they're trying to take things under control, but I don't know. But it seems like. It doesn't seem like America's doing that much better, to be honest, but still they're opening stuff up. So who knows? Who knows what the deal is there? We've got another super chat before we jump into our first hot take, but this has a hot take within it, Lou. Bacon Rasher, sorry I've missed, not watched the live in the past 2 days. Work and a loss to COVID. Oh, man.
Sorry, mate.
So sorry to hear that, Bacon Rasher. Really sorry, brother. But thank you for sticking with us, and hopefully we can put a smile on your face, my friend. I really hope everything works out for you at home. Thanks for lifting my spirits on all WT. Hot take. Can Retribution be saved by Shane getting behind it to get Vince gone? FTF. I mean, I want to say yes now, just for you, just to make your day. No, I mean, I wonder if it would just be making it worse at this point. Do you know what I mean? Like, Retribution has kind of already gone through so much in its early career. I just wonder if that would actually serve to hurt it even more by convoluting the whole story and the message. My answer would be to just book Ali stronger, help him be the face.
Let them win.
Yeah, help him, help the group. That would be great. You can't make him the leader, and then as soon as he's revealed to be the leader, they'd start losing left, right, and center. That makes pretty much no sense. So for me, I mean, I'm one of the rare people that like Shane McMahon. I know people were getting really tired of him as best in the world and stuff, and I got it. But I actually like the character and personality of Shane. So if he could be involved some way in something, cool, I'm for it. But at the same time, don't think this is the spot. You, Lou?
I mean, I think that it would be an interesting way if this is how Vince gets out of WWE through Retribution. Actually, on that note, when it was the first episode of the Thunderdome and Vince was coming out, I was hoping Retribution would do some sort of thing with him, like attack him, sort of Nexus. Probably not attack him, but do some sort of light trickery to make it look like they had, like they did with the Nexus, to try and, I guess, put the group over a bit and give them a bit of a shot in the arm, which they didn't do ultimately. They sort of went with the Fiend and Braun Strowman route and then had Retribution involved. But yeah, I don't know whether that would help. I think that the group is now, people are trying to put leaders into the group to make it make sense and to make it work, but just let them win. Just book them like credible threats. And then hopefully that's what they can do to be taken seriously.
You've already got the guy with Ali. There's nothing wrong with Ali. He's a great talent. You just need to let him out there and flourish. Let him, 100%. If you're going to make him the leader, then make him the goddamn leader.
The thing is, with Dark Order, they didn't work at the beginning, but at least AEW booked them to win matches. The crowd didn't like them. Crowd didn't like what they were doing, but you could never for a moment doubt AEW's intentions with Dark Order. You could always tell that they wanted them to be taken seriously. But with WWE, and I'd say it's in a similar vein to how the group hasn't got over, but WWE hasn't really tried with Retribution in terms of giving them wins, giving them making them feel credible, and they don't. And that in turn hasn't helped the Hurt Business, because beating Retribution is now just kind of like, yeah, who doesn't? I think you and I could beat Retribution by the looks of it.
With all respect to like jobber groups, like, I don't know, like the 3MBs or social outcasts or people like that, okay, they have a place on the card or whatnot, but they weren't built like these guys were. But these guys are being booked like those guys were. So it's like, was Retribution meant to be a jobber group all along? It just feels like such a sucky thing to do. But
who knows? We're flogging a dead horse with this one, I think.
Let's move on to a hot take, and then we will parlay that into some news. So, first up,
my unpopular wrestling opinion is that since 2018, mid-2018, June 2018, Impact Wrestling has been the best weekly wrestling show ever. Better than Raw, better than SmackDown, better than NXT, better than AEW, better than NWA, and that's just my opinion. Goodbye, and goodbye.
I mean, I don't hate it. There are some merits, and let me tell you something. They, one, she's not the only person, although I didn't catch her name, sadly. Don't know if you know it, Lou. No?
I think it was from a Twitter DM that had a lot of numbers in the name.
Right. Okay. Anyway, I don't think it's been the best ever, for sure. Ever. I don't think it's the best show. I think
it's been good, but not amazing.
Yeah, I think she means been the best since that time, which is fine. I mean, I do think Impact deserves a lot more credit because their name got dragged through the mud with the end of the Dixie Carter era, okay? And everything went tits up there and it wasn't great. and I understand why people had a bad taste in their mouth, and obviously all the talent that it lost. But Impact has rebounded fantastically; it really has. And for anyone who is really who really digs the Attitude Era and those kind of storylines, Impact does give you that. It really does. It's probably the closest thing you'll get to the Attitude Era, minus maybe the production, right? That's the thing with Impact for me. That they have done amazingly with talent and the people they've signed. I just wouldn't commit to saying it's the best. I don't think they've had a year like Dynamite just had.
No, I agree. I think it has it's solid. It's very, very solid. Great matches. Women's division cannot be faulted at all. It's got a fantastic women's division, arguably more stacked than NXT. Potentially, NXT's probably got some bigger names and better wrestlers, but in terms of the depth, Impact is sensational. So, I mean, it's a fantastic show. It is a fantastic show every week. It has its good weeks. It has its corny stuff, like we saw with Johnny Bravo getting shot, which might be for some people, it might not be for others. But I mean, in terms of this person's hot take, I think that you've definitely got grounds to say it's a very good show and it's been solid since then. But to say it's been the best, definitely ever, or of that era, I think with NXT and AEW and stiff competition at that, you're probably gonna fall slightly short.
I think NXT as well, like the year prior to Dynamite's inception, was on fire as well. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I like it though. I do like it that people and I do, we want to shout out different wrestling companies and stuff, and there is something for everyone. So I do enjoy that aspect.
There is a hot take I saw in the comments that I do want to pull up because it's very good.
Right, go on.
So Matty 5521 has said Louis is the
friend.
Scottish friend.
Matty the hot Scot, all right?
Has said Louis is the best person on WrestleTalk and he deserves a permanent feature on Wrestling Daily. Sorry, Alex. Well, firstly, thank you very much for that because I do appreciate it. But the other people involved with Wrestling Daily, along with myself, SV3 and Steph Chase, are fantastic. Their shows this past week I've watched just as a fan to watch, as opposed to because it's my job. They are fantastic, and you're in more than safe hands with those two and Alex at the helm when I'm not here. So, yeah, fantastic group of people involved, and we hope you've enjoyed the first 2 weeks of Wrestling Daily, because I know, speaking for me, we really have. We've really enjoyed chatting with you guys in the comments and just sort of getting the interaction with you guys, because, yeah, it's great.
I can always count on Uptown Avondale to make me laugh. Yeah, I mean, that's a basic heel turn for me, Matty, right there, man. I mean, I'm not having that. I'm not having this young prodigy usurping me anytime soon. Louis, get to the back of the queue. This is Alex McCarthy's Wrestling Daily, man. What the hell happened? I've been done already. Anyway, it is a Wrestling Daily, which means we aim to bring you the news, and we touched on it at the beginning of the show, guys. But we haven't got into great detail yet. So let's talk about let me hold myself. Riddle and his name change in WWE. Louis, take it away.
So it was reported yesterday by PW Insider that Matt Riddle will now be known as Riddle moving forward. He has become the latest WWE superstar to have his first name dropped, which was it was received sort of poorly online, with people just saying basically, Riddle, what are you doing? And this has then been confirmed by WWE themselves, sort of indirectly, by the fact that they've changed his name just to Riddle on WWE.com. So Fightful Select has followed up with this by saying that Matt Riddle versus Sheamus wasn't just well received by fans, but it was actually well received by Vince McMahon too. And he was very complimentary with it and thought that they did well. He's very high on Riddle, it's to be said, and he made the call to change Riddle's name change Matt Riddle's name just to Riddle, and has pitched a more serious character presentation for him. However, Dave Meltzer is reporting in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that the decision to change Riddle's name has actually come somewhat because of the allegations that have come out about him or Meltzer reporting, because the allegations that have come out about him over the past few months with speaking out, with him saying in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the company made the decision to drop Matt Riddle's first name, and now he's just Riddle. The story was that they wanted to not have people Google Matt Riddle and come up with the details of the lawsuit against him and WWE. The decision was made and Riddle said he was fine with it and even preferred it, saying Riddle is his name and he's been called it for most of his life. So, I think you've already given away where you stand on this stance. I understand it, and I think it could be plausible, but I also could see plausible that Vince McMahon just thinks Riddle is a cool name and thinks that should be a character presentation for him. It's not a great name at all. I mean, Riddle, it's not good. But where do you stand on it? Because I know where you stand on it, but why don't you tell the people where you stand on it?
First of all, SB3, come on, man. Like, why are you encouraging him? Why?
Good man, SB3.
SB3 out here saying Louis is awesome, among the best interviews in wrestling media today. That's why I'm watching right now. God damn it, I'm going to have some of you thrown out of this goddamn lobby. No, I enjoy Louis' work, otherwise he wouldn't be here. All right. Let me tell you something else. Riddle, I always feel like with these names, like in isolation, if you said, oh, we're going to call someone The Rock, I'd go, oh, that's crap. That is awful. Why would you call someone The Rock? I mean, it makes more sense, though, with him and his heritage and whatever and the way the character was going. So I'm not going to make a direct comparison, but sometimes things sound crap and then they grow.
The Undertaker.
Yeah, I guess, but a different era, I guess. But then so was The Rock.
Different era, yeah. But it's kind of like if someone debuted called The Undertaker tonight, if we got a message from WWE, The Undertaker to debut tonight, we'd all be like, this is the most pants thing ever.
Well, yeah, but also if he came out like The Undertaker, you'd be like, oh, like, I get it. Like, what's Riddle meant to be? Like, is he going to start coming out with a big question mark on him? Like, I've heard, I've been told from guys inside WWE, guys that I trust very much, that Vince isn't, in fact, high on Riddle. And they actually soured on him a great deal thanks to the lawsuit that came against him and the speaking out allegations. And it's one of them things where they're just trying something different, and they're gonna dress him in green. I'm told. I don't know if that is actually going to happen, but apparently they're going to start dressing him in green. So that left me pretty stunned to hear that. But at the same time, I think, as far as the illegal stuff the litigious stuff goes, where they don't want people to search. If you search Riddle WWE, you're still going to get the same guy, right? You search Riddle, you're probably he's not going to be far off either. So if that was the reason, they'd completely up shop, I think. And also, there is a ton of guys still in the company who had allegations against them. Maybe none of them have made it to the legal part yet of court. But it doesn't matter. There's still like a lot of cases and a lot of stuff on the internet.
But about these
things. Well, you say it does, but it doesn't. Lou, if you literally search Joe Coffey right now, you wouldn't be hard to find, right?
But from wrestling news sites. The difference with Riddle is he's been picked up, and I did a little bit of research yesterday. There was some on the others, but Riddle's the first and the most that sort of went into the, oh no, it's starting to be picked up by your news sites that don't their main sort of thing they cover isn't wrestling.
Well, and probably because his lawyer was awful.
Exactly. It's because it's gone further in law that I think WWE have realized, okay, some major sites are picking that up, so perhaps we have to add. I could see it being an option, but as you say, I don't think it's the main reason.
I don't think that's true. I'm just going to outright say it. I don't think WWE would. There'd be so, there'd be so many, unless they've learned from stuff, because they have never done that. I've said this week a few times. People don't want to cheer for Matt Riddle, Lars Sullivan, or Velveteen Dream right now. And I know two of them are heel, but the one that isn't, they seem to be trying to, this new coat of paint, and I don't know if it will work. I don't know if that is your answer to change his name. And if it is to avoid legalities and, this bad look, then maybe you need to reevaluate what you're trying to do here, if that's your answer to change his name. Anyway, Here comes another super chat. I like George Yamin. I like his super chats, man. He's been great all week. Thank you, George. Was SmackDown 2000 and under? Let me get my words out, George. Was SmackDown 2018 underrated? It had a great roster. I thought SmackDown in 2016 was really good. Like as the brand split first happened, it became my favorite show very quickly. 2008
great roster.
Yeah, 2018 is kind of where we're starting to lose Cena and people like that, and I believe it's like the reign of Daniel Bryan as the Planet's champion. Am I right in saying that, or is that 2009?
No, that's end of 2018. So the November time he won it. It was majority reign of AJ Styles, so his feuds with Samoa Joe, which was very good. The whole Wendy. His stuff with Shinsuke, which his stuff at the beginning of the year. Becky, yeah, that was the real sort of Becky when the man was born Betty with the Survivor Series. It was a good year. It was a good year for SmackDown. It was sort of towards 2019 that SmackDown sort of fell off a little bit. But SmackDown has always been a solid show. And the fact it's 2 hours will always mean it's easier for me to stomach and for many other people than Raw.
I mean, I've preferred SmackDown pretty much ever since 2016.
Agreed.
But there you go. Another great super chatter that we have amongst us is CM Chris. He's been on fire this week with Fireworks Night coming in the UK next week and Full Gear being on Saturday. Which match is going to be a banger and which one is going to be a dud? I don't think AEW has many duds on pay-per-view, to be honest. Not many that I can think, to my recollection.
The only one, Sammy and Matt Hardy, but that was more not
come on, you can't have a go in for that.
No, of course not. I mean, that's the only one that hasn't hit, but that was literally because of the injury, not because the match was bad or anything like that. In terms of the banger, there are so many options, which is why this pay-per-view is going to be so good. Because
it's going to be Kenny and Hangman for me. That's going to be the one that bangs. That is just going to be a special match, I think.
I've got FTR on the Bucks. I think it might partially be because I literally got off got off Zoom with FTR a couple of hours ago, and I've just spoken to them about how passionate they are about this match, and they probably turn me into a believer. But I'm a lover of tag wrestling. I am a lover of FTR. From
you might as well drop your news while we're here, while FTR is on the horizon. I mean, I don't have a dud that immediately strikes me at the pay-per-view. You know, Darby Allin, Cody, and Moxley, Kingston. What do you want me to say? They all look like they're going to be great. So I don't really have any duds for you, but I do think Hangman and Omega is going to kill it. And even though I'm less confident, because I actually thought FTR and Omega and Paige, I'm one of them who thought that was actually a bit disappointing. But the Bucks just don't miss in these situations, and I feel like the chemistry will be there. So I'm confident the tag will be great. Anyway, Lou, you spoke to FTR, and something about the build, believe it or not, they're not that happy about. So
it was a lot of fans have thought that the build to the FTR and Young Bucks match has been somewhat muddled, with
me included.
And me, with both teams showing somewhat heelish tendencies. So you don't actually, and FTR should be the heels and Young Bucks should be the baby faces. But because Young Bucks have been super kicking Tony Schiavone, you haven't got a reason to sympathize with them, because you're kind of like, you're dicks. You kind of deserve the beating that's going to come for you. So it is obviously, it's been slightly muddled, probably not what many fans would have thought it was going to be going into it. But FTR have said to me in an interview that this match is basically the reason they left WWE. They wanted to leave for this match. But the build hasn't been exactly what they thought it would be. So Dax Harwood said, am I happy with the build? I think the build to this match could have been a little better. Obviously, when you're an artist, you think that your piece is the most important piece in the whole museum. I do believe that. I don't know if that comes off as selfish or not, but we believe that our piece in the AEW art is the most important art in the museum of Full Gear. The build, I believe, could have been given a little bit more time and been a little bit better. We could have had more time devoted to the match and made it feel a little bit more special.
It's not about the time. It's about what they've done with what they've had.
And they've done, but did you know that a segment on Dynamite was 3.5 minutes this week? It felt longer. It felt considerably longer. I didn't realize it was that short of a time until I went back and watched it for this interview to do a bit of research. And it was short.
I get all that, right? But we've been building to this essentially since FTR debuted. So you can't say that, like, I wish we'd had more time or whatever. Like, I understand what they're saying, but even from, the Midnight Express stuff and the way that it was kind of introduced early on between the Elite and FTR, and it was like, people not really working out the characters. It's been building that way the whole time. So it feels like there's been a lot of time to go, oh, hang on a minute, we don't like this. And I think in AEW, I know the Young Bucks, of course, have amazing influence there, but surely they would have had time to say, we do or don't like this or whatever. Like I think it's one of those things where it's like, now that it's playing out, they're like, oh, actually, this isn't great, rather than we didn't get what we wanted.
I mean, wrestlers are perfectionists, and I know the FTR, from when I've spoken to them, they really care about tag wrestling and will want this to be the best it can be. So if they think that it might not be slightly what they wanted it to be or as good as they want it to be, and it's not meeting the incredibly high expectations that I'm sure they set for it, then they might be disappointed. But I mean, more than anything, the big takeaway I got from this interview was they really think they're going to go out there and have the greatest tag team match ever. They think that it's going to be the best. And I think they will. I think they've got potential for it. I really do. I think that. I think that.
But maybe.
Oh, I don't know. I think that the exact verbiage that Dax said to me was, "We want it to be the most emotional wrestling match in North America," and I think they've got potential for it. I really do. I think that this could steal the show. I think it should go on last for me. It's the biggest tag team match that AEW.
Yeah, Mark. I'm hearing pouring out of you right now. Like
I really am.
Don't get me wrong. I enjoy FTR. Like, they're great, and as the Revival, I saw them do some amazing things at takeovers live that blew me away. Like, I'm fully, I'm sure that they're more than capable, but I feel like I was left so. And it's not just their fault, because obviously there's two other people in the match, right? But I just felt like the match with Omega and Page just didn't hit the notes that I expected. And I'm not so worried, because I feel like the Bucks can just with anyone, and there was different things as well that went into why Page and Omega and FTR didn't really work. And, the heat in the arena and the no fat, the Hardy and Guevara thing happening before. There's a lot of reasons. I'm not like trying to pin anything on them or blame them, but you're out here saying it could be the greatest tag ever. Like,
I think it could. I legitimately think it could. I think
the build has not led me to believe it could be the greatest ever, Lou, at all. You're just this is what I'm getting at. This is the only reason I'm countering what you're saying, because like the thing for the greatest ever, it's like there has to be that electricity and that build and that kind of anticipation, where they could have just had it with the dream match that is already there, but instead it's this convoluted build.
I get it.
Where they're trying to add these, the suspense of, the Bucks won't be able to get the time. I'm like, I just don't see that as like.
But this has been 4 years, mate. 4 years. I think it's easy for us to say now, but when we see on one side of the ring FTR and the other side of the ring the Young Bucks, we'll forget that the build's been slightly muddled. This match has been something that it's been the most sort of, in my lifetime anyway, the wrestling match that has been teased, I guess, at one stage and has been delivered the latest. And it's been one that I've been so highly anticipated for. And I even in 2016 with DIY and American Alpha, FTR had, or then the Revival had great matches. But I was like, imagine what they do with the Bucks. And I think this could legitimately steal the show and put make people realize, if they didn't already, that tag team wrestling is just as good as singles and can be just as good as singles. And I know it's going to sound like just because I've got off an interview with FTR.
It does sound like that, yes.
I know, but anyone that knows me, when I'm a massive, massive FTR mark. I love the way they do things, the way they operate. I think this could be really good. And I hope we sit here in a Monday week, so next Monday the 9th on the show, and you can say to me that tag team match was fantastic.
No, I'm sure I will be saying that to you, but I'm also I'm not confident I'll be saying it's the greatest ever. That's where the debate is. I'm sure it is going to be great. I've got all the confidence in the Young Bucks and FTR and both their abilities, and that this is a match that they've wanted to deliver for so long. So they're going to have a lot already in their minds, kind of planned out, and things that they want to do. I'm just contesting the greatest ever shout, Lou. That's all. I'm sure it's going to be great.
We will see.
Yeah, we will. And moving along, are we going to talk about news? Are we going to do another hot take, or should we take a super chat? I think it should be a super chat, Lou. What do you reckon?
I agree. We love your guys' super chats. So if you want to get them in and hear us, I guess, debate what you got to say or review what you got to say, send them in, and we'll do our best.
Yeah, they always take priority. And George Yamin's back at it, and he says the Shield versus the Elite. Who are you guys taking? I assume you don't mean a literal matchup, because that'd be however many versus 3. But
wait, 4.
Is it though? I mean, Martin
Kurt Angle.
Yeah, Triple H for a while, sure.
Triple H.
Yeah, no. I mean, what in terms of legacies and oh man, that's a really. It depends. Like, there's a criteria. It depends what you're after in the answer. If you're just saying like, who do I prefer? Oh, again, that question sucks.
Got to be Shield for me.
I think it's probably
who I prefer.
I think it's probably the Shield. Having said that, though, I have such a deep love for the Elite as well, and what they've been able to do with AEW. Like, if AEW hadn't have happened, I would have said the Shield fairly easily. Even though obviously the Bullet Club and what they did in New Japan and Ring of Honor and all of that stuff was great, but the Shield has like spawned 3 legitimately,
from out of nowhere.
Yeah,
from literally out of nowhere.
Well, I mean, they were already, Roman was certainly out of nowhere. Like, Rollins had done great stuff in Ring of Honor, but I know what you mean in terms of a faction. It was from nothing. And I love how Cody kind of reinvented himself with the Elite as well. And man, that's a hard question, George. If you put me on the spot, which you are because you've paid your money, I would say the Shield, just because they've made the biggest impact in the biggest wrestling company in the world. That's the best I've got for you.
Agreed.
Okay. Thank you, though, George. You're really great with those super chats. Do appreciate them. Let's talk a little bit more news. So we've had Riddle, we've had the Twitch accounts, we've had the little FTR exclusive, and we've also talked Walter and Ilia. So allow me to drop 2 more stories at you before we hit a hot take for the home straight. Pac is returning, Lou. My Geordie friend, the Newcastle fan among us. There it is. Big Pac, I love him, man. What a fantastic talent he is, and he is making a return to Dynamite. We don't know if it's in the flesh or not. He's certainly breaking his silence, so it would seem that his return is imminent either way. He's going to make his return next week, and man, I am so excited to see what could play out here. Of course, Death Triangle is no more. The Lucha Bros are with Eddie Kingston and his Rat Pack, and man, I want to see Pac get involved in that stuff, Lou.
I almost hope if he's in the flesh that they didn't announce this and he just turned up after the main event of Dynamite, either to attack either man, to attack Mox or to attack Kingston, whoever. I'd want to see it. I think that'd be so cool. I think that it's obviously perhaps slightly not reactionary, but perhaps because they lost the ratings last week, that they've announced him ahead of time. It doesn't seem like the sort of AEW thing to do, to announce a return or to do it ahead of Full Gear, unless he's going to have a match at Full Gear, which I don't expect him to. So we'll see where this goes. We will, I guess, Pac's great. Pac for me,
amazing.
I think it was going to be Pac versus Moxley at Double or Nothing instead of Brody Lee. That was where I think it was heading, and I'd be surprised if it wasn't heading that way. So I guess we'll have to see where things go. But the opportunities with Pac back is great. It's going to feel like a new signing for AEW because we haven't seen him since March. It's really, really exciting, and I think we've got a lot of potential with the stories that could happen. So, man, I'm excited for it. It'll be a great show, and Pac back is fantastic.
Generational talent for me in terms of high flyers and his athletic ability. The Pac is a huge injection for AEW. SP3 is at it again with another terrible take. The Elite all day. They dominated Ring of Honor, New Japan, and now AEW. Their impact on the industry dwarfs the Shield. That last line, SP3, man. In terms of money, right? If we're talking of like events led and merch sold would be the Elite, I assume. I just assume that because they killed it, right? But I mean, WWE
the reach.
WWE is just such a bigger machine. I mean, the Elite would have made more money personally from the merch than the WWE talents, I would have thought.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just think you say the impact on the industry, but you have to remember WWE stands at the top of the industry by a great distance, which I know is painful for a lot of fans to hear, but it's true in terms of marketing and money. And the Shield have been, well, Moxley's doing it now for AEW. He's the flag bearer for that company. So you talk about impact on an industry. He's leading the Elite's company right now. So how's about that poetic?
The two top champions and the two top companies are Shield members right now. Roman Reigns, to me, is the best character in wrestling right now with the Tribal Chief. John Moxley doing fantastic work. I think that, listen, it's close. At no point are you and I saying that the Elite haven't had an impact on the industry or the Shield haven't had an impact.
It's a great time about it. You can't say they've dwarfed what the Shield have done. That's
dwarfed is a little bit hot. It seems like I think True Heel Heat is actually a bit upset that Steph's got the hot take, so I think he's come in with one of his own. He's felt
don't go into taking my role. Self SP3. I won't have it. I won't have it on my show. Listen, we have another bit of news to dive into, and of course, it would be the Vince documentary, which can either be amazing or is going to be like the most fulfilling, indulgent piece of document. But I don't think that'll be the case with Netflix. And of course, Bill Simmons has also signed on to be the executive producer there. Now, if we see what Netflix has done with documentaries, I don't think I've ever seen them take it easy on anyone. Right. And also,
and it's got the guy that was involved with Firefest, which was pretty damning.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we're going to be in for it. I hope it's not a WWE Network documentary on Netflix.
I don't think so. It's not. It's not done by the same people. And at the end of the day, I don't know the deal. I'm assuming WWE will have some rights in terms of what comes out and what doesn't. But
100%.
Netflix will try and Vince McMahon. And I know he's pretty divisive, but really, when you cut to the core of it, everyone will admit, he's basically the godfather of professional wrestling as we know it. You can't. There's only so much you can hate the guy. He really has given us everything we know.
We're not here without Vince.
Precisely, and that's the thing, right? He is a fascinating character. I've tried to. I'm like halfway through a feature where I'm writing, and I'm interviewing different people that can give a true perspective on what Vince McMahon is like, kind of inside and outside of the ring, like the true Vince McMahon, because no one really knows unless you meet him and you work for him and get to know him in his world. He's such a unique character that's why this documentary is so polarizing, man. I think I just think it will do massive business if this documentary is done correctly, and really it needs to be done because, like I said, Vince. If you look at just who he is and what he's done in the world and the self-made kind of billionaire, semi-self-made, it's incredible. It needs a spotlight.
Have they given any indication as to when it's out?
I think it's next year or it's beginning. It's beginning development. Nick Khan did say on the call, but I believe that the only real details at the moment today is in development. It's been agreed and Bill Simmons is signed on. There is a comment here from our good friend Pablo, who says about, don't forget Uncle Dave's ratings. Good point. Let me tell you something. He rated Sasha Banks and Bayley below Penta and Kenny Omega. Now, Pentagon Jr. and Kenny Omega was a really, really good TV match, but Jesus Christ, to say that even had the same remote emotional pull as Bayley and Banks or the execution, to me, is frankly laughable. And say what you like about Omega and Pentagon. Let's even take that out of the equation for a second. To have Bayley and Banks 4.25, so it's not even a 5-star match, apparently, which I fully believe that it is, in my humble opinion. For him to think that a TV Dynamite match was better than maybe one of the all-time great Hell in a Cells, and just to say Bayley and Banks wasn't even the best match that week, I find staggering.
Yeah, it was the same rated as Roman and not Roman and Jay. It was actually Roman and Jay, which no, that should have been higher than 3.5. But same rating as Drew and Randy, which surprised me. I thought that Sasha and Bayley was way better.
He had Roman and Jay was the worst Hell in a Cell in Dave's eyes.
In terms of in-ring action, I get it. It was the worst. In terms of moves, if you're thinking moves,
but even if you're talking worst, like, do you know what I mean? It's not like that seems a lot more damning than it actually is, right?
He gave it the same rating as he gave Sheamus and Matt Riddle on Raw.
Right. I mean, I don't want to like. That's just annoyed me. I don't want to talk about it too much. I respect Dave Meltzer in terms of the historian that he is, and the platforms that he's built, and let's be frank, he's made jobs possible for guys like Lou and I, to really be able to report on the industry. He's done it. He did it great for many, many years. I don't think his ratings are the be all and end all. That's fine though. He's allowed his ratings, and it's great that they command so much respect and attention. I just don't think that they carry the weight. Certainly not. I certainly disagree here. Okay, that's simple as that.
Is our good friend Uptown Avondale in the chat?
I mean, we could do with him right now.
He should be. Like we need him. We need him.
Anyway,
we definitely need him.
Jobber JJ knows. Listen, we got a couple of super chats to get to before the end of the show, Lou. And they're both from Matty, as it goes. Matty, let's start with. Oh, I need to get it up first. Your first one is, what is your ideal 2- and 3-man commentary team? I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but I do prefer a 2-man team. I always thought that I never understood why the third person was so vital and why that's become commonplace in this day and age. JR and the King are my favorite 2-man team ever, but it's of course my era. And if I had to pick the best today, Tom Phillips and Samoa Joe would do it for me just great. I understand that Samoa Joe probably won't be around long term. So I would say I actually really enjoy Nigel McGuinness as the colour guy.
I'm going to say I would go for Nigel and Mauro. Their commentary, their chemistry was off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that they'd be fantastic together, and they are fantastic together. Big shout out to Kevin Kelly from New Japan. If I watch New Japan shows live, I don't catch him because they don't tend to do for their smaller shows, don't do the English commentary live, but he is fantastic. But for me, it does have to be Byron Saxton and David Otunga.
There you go. Uptown Avondale knows. He's took heed of my advice. I want to play that video more than anyone else. But we'll have to wait and see on that one.
As soon as we get off the stream, he plays it just to get his fix. As soon as we stop going live, he just plays it. Pretty much.
I must say as well, I like Excalibur as someone who's grown on me very much, what he's doing in AEW. So shout out to all of the great commentators out there. And of course, Matty did come at us with another super chat. What's the biggest pop you've heard in person? Now, this is a great question. I've got a couple. I'm going to do the ones that run to my head first. So I was at the Royal Albert Hall when Mustache Mountain defeated Undisputed Era for the tag titles. Nobody thought it was going to happen. The pop was ridiculous. You should watch it back. It is staggering. It was deafening when I was there. I was also at a house show in 2013, maybe something like that, at the O2. It's a Friday night, and John Cena faced Alberto Del Rio in the main event. Oh my God, the roof came off for Cena. It was unbelievable. I've been to a million shows, and this is the time as well where if you saw Cena on TV, people were booing the hell out of that guy. And the roof literally came off. Unbelievable. But I will say the biggest pop I've ever heard live was the return of the Hardy Boys and then the return of Edge. I was at both WrestleMania 33 and the Royal Rumble this year. Oh my Lord, spine tingling. Amazing stuff. Lou, what you got? If you got anything that rolls staggered.
No. So I actually haven't been to that many live wrestling shows. I think partially because I've always been at school, so I haven't been able to fly out to the States to watch any of the shows, and I haven't actually been. The last WWE show I went to was 2012. I think 2012.
How
I was
old
there
were
when I was there when R-Truth turned heel. Do you remember that?
I do. Hang on, 2012. You were
2011.
You were yeah. I was going to say you were.
I was 10.
10.
Mm.
Christ.
So me and my brother were massive into it. We bought signs, we bought everything. We loved it. My dad just came along because we couldn't go on our own, and he pretended to love it but hated it. But the loudest pop I've actually heard was at a Progress show last year.
Okay.
Just I think because of the size of the venue, and if you've been to Progress shows, Progress fans are just the most energetic, loud fans you can think of. So when it was Kyle O'Reilly was there and he came out and everyone did the boom that he does, and it was then I was like, okay, I think it's just because the venue was so small. But hopefully, when the world stops ending, I'll get out to the States, go to an AEW show or a big WWE pay-per-view, and I'll see an Edge return or a Matt Hardy return or something like that rivals Alex's.
I've also seen Moxley's debut in AEW. That was a big, big pop. I was also at the Blackpool 1 for NXT UK where Walter debuted. Massive, massive pops, man. Tremendous.
Right.
But let me tell you, Lou. Do you know what the biggest pop I've ever heard?
When you heard from yourself, when you heard that you'd be co-hosting the show with me.
That's a really weird take you've got there, but no, it's this.
Jose Garcia wants to know if Jenny's going to do an OnlyFans account.
You know,
So loud. Natty, the queen of the stiff style.
Came out of nowhere. Poor girl.
That is staggering stuff. Anyway, I have to say thank you to everyone who has tuned in again tonight. We really appreciate it. Some great super chats, some great stuff in the comments too. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we're going to be back on Tuesday because there's no pay-per-view this week. And it'll be me and Luigi again, 8 till 9 right here on Wrestle2, which you should like, share, and subscribe to. And, of course, you can catch up with all the Wrestling Daily this week on your podcast platforms, Apple, Acast. What's the one you can have on your phone? I don't even know. Just podcast. Just the podcast app. Just do that. We're there.
Any good podcast app, we're there. And also for the States, obviously, we've been an hour earlier for you guys this week. We're back to the regular time that we were for our first week for you guys in the States. But still 8 p.m. over here in the UK. And then it will be 3 p.m. for you guys in the States.
Yes. So anyway, thank you very much, guys. We really appreciate you for tuning into another week of the Wrestling Daily. Can't wait to catch up with you guys again next week. So from Luigi and myself, thank you very much. And please have a great weekend.